Hey guys, Manjoume here. I have a couple things to show you. First thing is that Mega Man Legends does indeed work on the PlayStation Portable. Capcom themselves have even said that no, it will not work for reasons, which I had thought would be licensing that Sony just didn't want to pay for them. However, if you go to the website, the page for it, it says PSP is included. Even in the text, it says it is included. And if you download it, at least this is the way I did it. I downloaded it through MediaGo on my PC after having bought it. Then I just hooked up my PSP to my computer using MediaGo and installed it. And, well, as you can see, it's running just fine. Second part is, I know the PlayStation Portable doesn't exactly have the control scheme that would fit this kind of game. However, there are ways to work around that fact, and in doing so you'll have to kind of memorize your buttons a bit, because if you don't, then, well, you're going to be in some trouble. Alright, the video is going to look a little off, but switching the D-pad to the analog stick, you actually get full range of motion, which is really cool. Of course, up on the analog stick moves you forward, down moves you down. Then you use the strafe buttons to go left and right, and that feels pretty good. And usually that's the triggers, but in this case we're going to be using that for lock on and the buster. Although thanks to this, those buttons are now free. So usually shoot button would be square, but instead it's moving left, and moving right is now here. And of course, triangles is the same, circles the same. And you may think, since X is moving right, where's the jump button? Well, here's the cool part. It's right here. And it's not too bad. I figured in most scenarios when you're moving and you need a jump, the button's so close it doesn't feel too off. I think even even Resistance, I think on the Vita, had this type of control scheme where the jump button, actually it might not even have been that. It might have been, if not Resistance, then I think it was not SOCOM. It was Unit 13. One of the two games used D-pad down as the jump button, and of course the analog stick was the actual movement buttons. So this is pretty cool. Instead of having a second stick, which would, eliminate which would just eliminate the problem, which the Vita successfully does, you have this. It works pretty well, especially in this casing, because it feels more like a controller, and it plays a lot cooler. It makes it feel pretty modern, and it controls very well. In case anyone's wondering about the control scheme to make this game very much playable and feel great on this console, you go to Assign Buttons, Custom, because we're going to be changing a lot of things. And keep in mind that this is strictly on the tutorial level that I found this to be very useful. And if I need to put in more buttons, I will put them in as we go. Alright, so, up button. You don't need it. Down. That's going to be X because that's your jump button. And if you have to accept anything in menus, remember that it's right there. Alright, so left, you don't need it yet. Right, you don't need it yet, although we can always assign that to something if we find a purpose for it later. Up on the analog will be the up button, because in this game, well, I do believe this game was made before the whole dual analog thing was really a thing. As you can see in this picture, you even see it. So you're trying to implant this onto this in a way that works. And I do believe we can do that. And I do believe I've done that. Down on analog is D-pad down, movement down. And of course, left is left, right is right. That's pretty simple to understand. Triangle will be triangle. Don't need to mess with that. Same with circle. Don't mess with either of those. They're fine where they are. This is where it gets kind of weird. Alright, so your X button is going to be R1, which is moving right. And your square is L1, which will be moving left. Now, if you like inverted controls, you can always swap the two, and it'll still feel pretty good. And they're close enough to each other that you can rock your thumb on it to really control it pretty well. And the best part is that you can set your L button to R2, which will be lock on. And then your R button to the square. Square is shoot. And I think most people will agree that shoot feels pretty good on a trigger. So that your shooting mechanics will be hold it, pew 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 pew. So that's my control scheme for Mega Man Legends. We'll see if it works pretty well later on as we go through the game, but right now it's feeling pretty good, pretty complete. So right there. Cool. Anyway, that's all for now. Manjoume out.